The Cuyahoga County Committee of the Whole meeting for Tuesday, October 10th is now called to order. Andrea, would you please call the roll?
Good afternoon, everyone. As a reminder to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. It is now 3:34 p.m. Calling the roll, Ms. Stevens. Ms. Stevens is absent at the moment. Ms. Simon?
Here.
Mr. Kelly?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Sweeney?
Present.
Mr. Tuma?
Here.
Mr. Gallagher? Mr. Schron?
Here.
Ms. Turner? Ms. Turner is absent at the moment. Ms. Conwell is absent. Council President Jones?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Clerk, if you read the item into the record. Has
There
anyone
wa-
signed in for public comment?
No public comment was received.
All right, so at this time, the item referred to committee in our confirmation hearing. Would you read the item into the record?
Resolution 2023-0271, a resolution confirming the county executive's appointment of Brad Cromes upon his taking the oath of office as county treasurer.
All right. Welcome to the confirmation hearing at which council will consider the appointment of Brad Cromes as the county treasurer. Charter Section 5.07 provides that the county treasurer is appointed by and serves at the pleasure of the county executive. The county treasurer performs powers and duties established in state law, as well as powers and duties established by council ordinance. This position is subject to confirmation by the council as a departmental director. The hearing process will proceed as follows. The nominee will be offered an opportunity to address his qualifications, motivations for seeking the position, and outlooks and plans regarding the office. Council members will then be offered the opportunity to ask questions of the nominee. For the sake of time and to allow the opportunity for everyone to ask questions, I'd ask members to limit themselves to 2 questions. Time permitting, additional questions may be asked once everyone has had an opportunity. Once all questions have been asked, we will entertain a motion to recommend that council approve or reject the nomination for second reading at tonight's council meeting and consideration for third reading at the October 24th council meeting. At this time, Mr. Cromes, if you would come forward.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. Good afternoon. My name is Brad Cromes, and I'm honored to be Executive Ronane's nominee for Cuyahoga County Treasurer. For the past 8 years, it has been my pleasure to serve as County Treasurer in Portage County. In that role, I have emphasized stewardship, transparency, and innovation, and I'm looking forward to bringing those values to bear in service of Cuyahoga County taxpayers. I grew up in Western Ohio in a town named Bellefontaine, and first came to this region to attend Hiram College. After graduation, I worked in Cleveland for the Gateway Consulting Group and on the Northeast Ohio Council for Higher Education's College 360 Talent Attraction and Retention Initiative. I then enrolled at the Ohio State University Moritz College of Law, where I earned my JD, and OSU's Glenn College of Public Affairs, where I earned a master's degree in public policy and management. My wife and I moved back to Northeast Ohio after grad school so that she could begin her veterinary practice in her hometown of Ravenna. I was appointed to serve as Deputy Director of the Portage County Board of Elections in 2012 and sought appointment to the vacant County Treasurer position in 2015 because I wanted to do more to serve my community and to help promote financial stability for my neighbors. I won that appointment and was elected by Portage County residents in 2016 and again in 2020. I'm proud of the work my staff and I have done to modernize service delivery, making more options for paying taxes available to our taxpayers than ever before. We have also worked to leverage the position the Treasurer's Office occupies at the nexus of local government finance to help residents improve their financial lives. Our low-cost loan program was the first in the state to align directly with Treasurer of State initiatives, becoming a force multiplier for stabilizing property values and encouraging economic development. Our financial wellness fairs brought community experts together to deliver a crash course in personal finance to area residents and won a Compass Award from the Treasurer of State as a model for financial literacy and wellness education. We have made an effort to do all of that work as transparently as possible, making it easier for residents to connect with us by being present in the community, on social media, and on the web. We've rewritten policies around various aspects of our work, including critically foreclosures, to make them consistent and understandable, and made them publicly available for all to see. We've also centered the concept of stewardship, reviewing contracts for efficiency, budgeting responsibly, and managing our investment portfolio in a way that has resulted in the largest balances in our county's history. Throughout my time in office, I have continued to build on my educational background and to seek new pathways to serve. I earned designation as a certified government financial manager from the Association of Government Accountants in 2016 and was named recipient of the Glenn College's Young Alumni Achievement Award in 2019. I also attended that school's Public Leadership Academy in 2022 as a representative of the County Treasurers Association of Ohio. I am on the association's executive board as second vice president and serve as vice president of its Northeast Ohio region, as chair of its mobile home committee, and as a member of its legislative committee. I applied for the treasurer position in Cuyahoga County because I know how critical a successful Cuyahoga County is to the future of this region and to the state of Ohio. My wife, my 2 young boys, and I love Cuyahoga County's terrific parks, world-class music and theater venues, and sporting facilities, including, unfortunately, sometimes the Browns. And we're very much looking forward to being members of this community. I have been impressed by the work Executive Ronayne has done to grow community in this space, and I am energized by the opportunity to join his team and all of you in the project of building a healthier and more sustainable future for this county. My vision for my leadership of the Treasurer's Office is to apply the values that have guided my career to date and the lessons I have learned to the work that's to come here. The Treasurer's Office can and should be a vital ally in helping move the community forward, and I am looking forward to that challenge and to the opportunity to serve. Thank you again, and I look forward to your questions.
All right, at this time, other questions? We'll start with Councilman Pat Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Kromas, congratulations on your nomination. It was a pleasure to speak to you earlier today. I'm the new guy on this group. I haven't been here a year yet, but the very first complaints I got were late tax bills. And people being concerned about what's going to happen when they're hit that delinquency period. So I'm wondering, what do you plan to do to try to keep that from happening again?
Through the chair to Councilman Kelly, thank you for the question. I think it's very important for the Treasurer's Office to manage the parts of the process that we control as efficiently and effectively as possible. That means having good relationships with vendors, including the print mail vendor and the e-payments vendor, making sure that we're conscientious about how we select those people and holding those people to account for the delivery of those services. I also think it's important for the office to be a strong communicator. There are instances where a delay will happen that is outside of the control of the office. For instance, if the Department of Taxation is late on providing tax rates, that can affect when the bill comes out. It's important for the Treasurer's Office to be vocal about sharing what's happened, why the delay is in place, and what the impact is on residents and how we are working to fix it. I also understand that the fiscal office has made a move to extend that deadline out an additional 7 days recently, beyond what's statutorily required. I think that's a really strong decision and the sort of thing that I would be looking to do if confirmed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Miller.
So, Mr. President, to Mr. Kromas again, congratulations on your nomination, and I'm gonna take a similar tack. The complaints about the tax processing system are among the most frequent that I get as a county council person, and this extends to the online payment system, which many have found not user-friendly, and in one extreme case, I had a taxpayer where it appeared that their tax payment went through, but actually it did not go through, and then they got billed for payment of taxes plus penalties, and it took a considerable effort to clean that up, and so my question is, how can we improve that process so that that our residents get a positive experience in using the system?
Through the chair to Councilman Miller, I think, and that's certainly a scenario that we all would try to avoid in this space. What I bring to the table is that I have a lot of familiarity with the e-payments processing service and e-payments processing vendors. Our counties use the same one presently, so I understand kind of the genesis of that issue and where it comes from. I think In the short term, the solution to that is making sure that the vendor is held accountable for delivery of the service and that the data is provided in such a way that it can be accurately presented. That's a co-responsibility that the office holds with the vendor. So I think that's the first piece. The second piece is accountability through the selection process. And I think it's critical for all lines of business to be looked at regularly to ensure that we're getting the best return from the market that's possible, the best service available in the market, and again, that we're holding people accountable for delivery of those promises. So certainly not something I think anyone wants to see happen, but that's the way I would address that.
Thank you. And Mr. President, my second question is whether you have any suggestions as to how the county could improve its investment performance consistent with the safety of the investments.
Through the chair to Councilman Miller, safety is the most important thing, as you know, in the investment policy, safety, liquidity, and return in that order. In terms of working on the return part of that equation, I think the fact that the county utilizes Meter investment management for advisory services is a strong decision. I know that Meter works with the Treasurer of State's office, my county, a number of other counties around the state. So having that third-party vision on what the county is doing is strong. I think it's also true, though, that Cuyahoga County has resources from a staff perspective that a lot of other counties don't have, and I think leveraging that and maximizing the potential there is really important to do as well. So to pair those two things up to make sure that you're getting outside eyes and kind of objective review, and also using the strengths that staff has effectively to maximize return, I think is the way to go about that.
Mr. President, by way of follow-up on that question, what could the county staff possibly come up with that would enhance returns that the consultant might not come up with?
Through the chair to Councilman Miller, the provisions of the investment policy, as you know, kind of govern what decisions are made in terms of which products we're investing in or which classes of products. So I think that's the first thing. Beyond that, I think it's a consultative process. So I wouldn't speak to any particular set of decisions because I think that's a thing that kind of is iterative. But that's certainly something that I'll be paying close attention to and making sure that we're utilizing staff effectively in pursuit of that goal.
Thank you.
Councilman?
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome, treasurer-to-be, right? What's your thought of how the treasurer's office, you might not know, but what's your style when you come in as the boss? And some people say the treasurer's office runs super well. Other people say it's kind of a mess. And I know it functions, but I'm just trying to understand what your perspective is and how you, without just more of a conceptual. Through the chair.
Through the chair to Councilman Sweeney, I don't have a strong sense yet of how this particular office functions, so I wouldn't speak to good, bad, or indifferent in terms of delivery of services. What I will say is that my style as a manager and as a leader is to be a collaborator first and foremost, and to try to be as customer-centric as possible, to lead with compassion and kindness in our interactions with the public. So I would expect that of staff, and that's something that I'm going to be focusing on, making sure we emphasize in the delivery of the work that we do. I'm also one who is interested in taking advantage of the expertise that already exists, right? So when I come into a new scenario, as I would be coming in here, I want to identify what the strengths are quickly and make sure that people have the space to share their strengths. And then where there are things that need improvement, to work together on how we address those things and improve service.
Thank you. And just to follow up on that, you're going to be the face of the treasurer's office and pretty much out front, and we're all going to know who you are.
That's good. That's good.
One question, I have a very unique one. I don't think it's fixed yet. It's overseas paying your taxes with a stamp on the date of, you get the postmark on the, and it comes over here. They've been always denying it. We have to go for appeals. And the gentleman that's doing it says there's a treaty through the countries that you're dealing with. So I want you to check into that and see if because he waits to the last day because he wants to maximize his, dollars and not have to get as much interest as possible. And it's a significant tax bill. So you can talk to some of your staff and give me an update on that one.
Through the chair to Councilman Sweeney, I always enjoy a good legal research project, so I'm looking forward to digging into that one a little bit.
Well, I can't wait to go out with you one night to do legal research because you enjoy it so much. Thank you.
Further questions?
You mentioned about a loan program that Portage County has. Could you tell me about that? Tell us
Through the
about
chair to Councilman Strawn, absolutely. So our loan program is a link deposit program, which are set up under the ORC. And generally speaking, they require approval of the legislative authority for the county. In our case, that's the county commissioners. In Portage County, it would be you all here. But that program is where a portion of the county's investment portfolio is set aside and invested in usually a CD with local banks. The county intentionally takes a lower rate of return than the bank would otherwise offer on that CD, and then the bank makes a commensurate discount available to borrowers. So that's the link. It's in the discount and in the amount that's deposited and lent. The value of that is it makes capital available for projects that might not otherwise be available at a rate lower than what's available in the market. Our program is somewhat innovative in that it is home improvements, which is the housing stability piece, and that's if link deposits exist in most counties, that's what most folks do. We've also built ties to the Treasurer of State programs in this space on economic development, so small business supports, small business growth, and because I have an agricultural community in my county of family farms also, which are I believe Grow Now at the state level and AgLink respectively. So that's what they are. As interest rates rise, those programs become more valuable, and we are in a rising rate environment, so we're seeing that start to be utilized more. But we think that that's a good tool for approaching some of those public policy goals.
What do you know about our loan policy program that we have for communities, for cities, and for school boards?
Through the chair to the councilman, I don't know a lot about that other than I know manuscript debt is allowable under the Ohio Revised Code. I have had conversations about that kind of a program with our advisor on a number of occasions. I'm open to that conversation. I think that's one of those devils in the detail things, and the math has to work, but provided that it does, I believe strongly in trying to leverage our office to do community work and to be a force for good in the communities that we serve. So if we can do that, it's something I'm very interested in having a conversation on.
We have one.
Okay, that's great. Good.
We've had it in place for 11 years.
Okay.
How much do you think we've loaned to schools and to communities?
Through the chair to the councilman, I can't speak to that.
Because it takes the face of your office to actually go out there and actually present that to schools and to communities and give them a lower interest rate for bonding and things of that nature for their school boards and things of that nature. So I hope you will please take advantage of it. We are actually ahead of the game is what we put in play. It just is not being utilized. Thank you.
Through the chair to the councilman, I appreciate that that perspective, and I think it's important for this office to be a community engaged member in all of the work that we do. So that's something that I'm going to be centering and prioritizing as I take over to make sure that we're doing consistent outreach in our communities.
I agree, and you don't make a sale by making one presentation to a school board or to a community. You got to be out there all the time and telling them our message. Thank you.
Any further questions?
I have a question.
Councilwoman Simon.
Thank you. Congratulations on your nomination. What's your thoughts on selling delinquent tax certificates to third parties for collection?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, that is something that we do in Portage County and have done since 2011. My view on that is that it is a tool in the toolbox, and it should not be relied upon as the only initiative you're using to collect delinquent taxes. It's also not something that I would dismiss out of hand as a necessary evil. I know that the experience in Cuyahoga County historically has been mixed at best with those. So from the kind of perspective I bring to that is that I would want to look and make sure that we were crafting whatever program would exist in such a way as to protect low-income homeowners, seniors, folks who are vulnerable, and make sure that that is a part of a greater collection effort. I also understand that the office has recently staffed up its delinquent payment plan program and worked to get more people on payment plans. I think that's the first cut, getting people before they're in the position to be in a tax lien sale is really the preferable route. So I think as many resources as we could direct at that as possible would be preference one. But I wouldn't take that off the table necessarily as a future tool.
Have you had a chance to look at our payment program here yet?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, I have not gotten to look at it directly yet, no.
What's your policy for payment plans in Portage?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, we utilize the statutory payment plans under ORC, so typically there are 5 or 10 payment plans that we offer. The treasurer has some latitude in that code section, though, to set up different versions of that. And so it's something I've thought a lot about recently, and I'm very interested in working to craft a policy that's thoughtful and conscientious of some of the same things I'd mentioned a moment ago in terms of making sure that seniors, low-income folks are protected, and that we give as many people pathways to payment and to staying in their homes as we can. So that's something I want to tackle.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
I just have a comment, if that's okay.
Councilman?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a comment, in the transition between the treasurer, the old treasurer, and you, Lisa Rocco did a wonderful job. I just want to give her a shout out. She's in the back there. She stepped up, she did it, and she's a trooper, and just realize there, just know that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Through the chair to the councilman, I would echo that. I've heard only positive things about that and very much appreciate it.
Any further questions? If not, Brad, are you aware? First, it was good having a conversation with you earlier today, so I'd like to get some of this on the record. Are you aware of the county's effort to build the Community Reinvestment Act requirements into to the next RFP?
To the chair, yes, I have had a chance to review the RFP for banking services and understand that CRA is an important part of that and that it's part of the scoring system for the first time. That is a real innovation, and I don't know of any others that I've seen that have that as part of the scoring of responses. I think it's important to do that, certainly, and to make sure banking partners are being good partners to the community more generally. So I'm looking forward to digging into that a little more.
Excellent. All right. If there are no further questions?
Council President?
Yes.
I would like the record to reflect that Ms. Turner is in attendance.
All right, excellent, excellent. All right, at this time, we will ask for a motion to recommend the resolution to the full council for second reading at tonight's meeting and third reading at the October 24th council meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Properly moved and seconded. No further discussion. Clerk, if you would conduct the roll call.
Ms. Stevens? Ms. Stevens is absent at the moment. Ms. Simon?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Tuma?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher? Okay, Mr. Gallagher is away from his desk. Mr. Schron?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Conwell is absent. Council President Jones?
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right. Thank you. All right, at this time, all meetings of the Cuyahoga County Council are open to the public under the Ohio Open Meetings laws. Under that law, council may go into executive session during a meeting for specifically authorized purposes. During executive session, council confers outside of the hearing of the public. Council may not make any decisions about any matters in executive session. All decisions are made in public. This afternoon, the council will go into executive session for the purpose of discussing pending or imminent court action. During this time, our live stream will be down, and we ask all those not specifically needed for the executive session to remain in council chambers. Council members will convene in the adjacent Committee Room A and will re-enter the meeting once the executive session has ended. Is there a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing pending or imminent court action?
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Clerk, please call the roll on the motion to go into executive session.
Ms. Stevens is absent. Ms. Simon?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Tuma?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher's still away from his desk. Mr. Schron?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Conwell is absent. Council President Jones?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Ayes have it. We will adjourn the meeting for an executive session. And we are now back on the record. Is there any miscellaneous business?
No miscellaneous business.
All right, if nothing else holds our attention, our meeting is now adjourned. We will reconvene at 5.